Undivided Bridge podcast, a congregation of young voices from the neighborhoods of Chicago who wants to close the gap between people who may never cross paths otherwise. As the modern world continues to change rapidly, we must adapt together as a city. So, on this podcast, we have conversations about anything that affects our everyday life. How we eat, how we learn, how we create, and how we plan for the future. So, join us on this journey as we discover more about the communities around us and to do our part to talk solutions for the greater good. Hi guys, welcome back to the Undivided Bridge. My name is Keishjuan.
And my name is Ciara.
And we have two very, very, very special guests that I hold dear to my heart. Without further ado, please introduce yourselves. I don't want to introduce them.
I'll let my man go first. Go ahead, bro.
My name is Julius Spates, aka the Mad Thinker from Chicago.
My name is Chris Thomas, founder and executive director of Your Passion First and a partner with Working Better Together.
Funny you say that because today's episode topic is goodbye old passions. So a little bit about that I have pre-written is we know that people can switch between projects and roles often, but many of us do not know that the average American will switch roles from 3 to 7 times. So from as early as preschool, we're prompted with the daunting question: what do you want to be when you grow up?
Still trying to figure it out.
Yep.
So our early experiences may shape and enhance our answers, especially as we age. And that really matters most when you're once loved. Well, I wouldn't want to say the things that you once loved, the things that you're most passionate about no longer sustains you and what makes you happy. So I want to talk about warm-ups, introductions, icebreakers, but I feel like we already know you guys, but they don't know that we know you guys. So, how are you guys feeling today on a scale of 1 to 5?
Today, I made it. I'm a 5.
I'm a 5 today because I haven't taken a break in about 1.5 years. And we're surprising my dad for his 70th birthday in California, and I leave tomorrow.
Wow.
So I'm super excited to take my first trip with my partner. My son will be there, and I'm excited. Looking forward to it.
I mean, everybody giving 5s across the board. I might as well give them one more.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling like a 5 today. I'm around people that love and care for me. We're out here doing really, really good things for the community. So I think that my life is starting to come together with the ownerships and things that I want. And I have a lot more say-so in things that I want to do in life, and it feels great. It feels wonderful.
I was gonna say, yeah, I agree. I'm a 5 today as well because like we were having a conversation earlier, about coming of age and, the new phases in life, even like what we're going to be talking about like in the episode of new things are like coming to the forefront, I want to say. And the person is sad, like, oh, I used to want to do this or that, and now like I see the whole world in front of me and I'm excited. So I'm a 5 because I'm rambling. I'm excited because it's like there's so much, but it's like an overwhelming sensation that's good because it's like I'm not letting anything sway me necessarily or persuade me, but it's like I can actually like learn about all the opportunities that are out there. So I like learning them.
Okay, so we always talk about learning. So I want to talk about how did our passions shape us from childhood to adulthood, because everybody learns. I don't think there's a real teacher out there. I just think that everybody's students and we're just on different echelons of education. So again, how did your early childhood shape your adulthood via passions?
Okay, so I've thought about this a lot actually. I think when I was, I produced destination music events, and what I try to do is track, what was the earliest production that I ever did, right? Like just to show those types of skills or whatever, right? Early. And I realized it was when I was, it's like 10 or 11 years old. And what it was is I organized a baseball game from our neighborhood, with my cousin's neighborhood, right? But what I realized was, that is doing that. Okay, yeah, let's go play baseball. But this is what made me think about like the detail and the production. So I remember I had to have like all these conversations with because for me, the main thing is I realized over the years I'm possibility driven, right? So if there's a possibility, I'll play whatever role, whatever job to make this happen, right? So what happened was I remember like, oh, okay, there's these two kids live, in the, like down the street from me, but they were always getting in fights. So I knew that I was gonna have to like talk to their parents, convince them, to be able to go. One of them was kind of stingy, the other one wasn't, so I had to factor that in. Then on my cousin's neighborhood, I remember like some of them didn't have gloves, didn't have mitts, so then it was like, okay, which kid am I gonna have to talk to loan them this? Because when you're coming up, like, depending how your parents are, they'll be like, don't let anybody have it because you keep losing your stuff, right? So I remember all these combinations of conversations that I would have to have in order to have a successful baseball game, right? So, that was like when I was about 10 years old. And so from that point on, I've always been a person to, like, when there was some type of idea, get in the middle of it, play some type of role to make sure that it actually happened. Because back then I was like, man, baseball game, just to make it happen, whatever we got to do, So that's I guess that would be the best way that I could, answer that question.
It's funny because your business has passion, so I know we got a good story.
Yep.
So I think mine came from not having the things I wanted to have. I was born on the south side, and then I moved around a lot growing up, and it was hard to make friends. Always come into a new neighborhood, and it was hard to connect with new resources, just things to motivate you, and I struggled. Growing up, lack of confidence, lack of clarity that the resources were really right in front of me all the time. And so I wanted to create something where you had that clarity, right? I wanted to build this community and we're working towards that, but it starts with knowing what your community center is about. I wanted to be that safe space where kids, youth, and families can come and know, hey, you're going to have fun here, you're going to have resources here, and you're going to get connected to opportunity here. And so that's kind of what's going to start your passion first. And as Julius and I are business partners, working better together. And as we go into organizations and try and talk with them, it's the same community that we're trying to build. It's trying to connect people together so that people can get through all the BS to get to the goal and the vision, but if people aren't connected to the resources, to the money, to the things they need, then it's really hard to have a collective vision.
Yeah, and I'll just go back off that. It's funny that you said that because many times in groups, it doesn't matter what it is, in the workforce, or everybody has a different situation, right? But again, being possibility driven, like I'm willing to hear, I really want to understand how people get to the conclusion that they got to, because once you understand how they arrived at whatever's happening from, then you can have a conversation to help them be able to connect, again, to get whatever needs to be done, right?
Yeah, that just clicked. I'm glad y'all just piggybacked off each other. Do you want to add on to this?
No, I was just going to say what I'm getting is just like, especially like since we've been doing this podcast, it just seems like there's a common theme of, trying to connect, but, I just can't help but, like, I feel like this will provide some type of perspective. So it's like, for you guys, it's like, okay, you're used to the community things, or, at least trying or having that ambition to, trying to connect people together, like bring people together despite like whatever, conflict they have. But for us, it's like, people let conflict be the end all, like they don't care about the bigger picture. So it's like, I guess my question would be like, what advice or what would you recommend, especially like thinking about like your mission and what you want to do, like in like life, just in all, like it's not just work. What would you advise people like who are just stuck on that, like I'll let conflict ruin it, ruin the connection?
Well, there's a couple of things, right? First, it depends on, I guess, who you're talking to, and did you recognize the person or persons? Do they even feel any value? What are they living for? Right? I used to think about that all the time. Like, it's very difficult to get someone to care about anything if they just don't feel any value for themselves, right? Or they don't feel like they're really living for anything for whatever various reasons. So that's kind of the first thing to assess that, right? Then the second thing is when it comes to conflict, like what is the conflict? Is it, is it a verbal conflict? Is it a physical conflict? What's happening, right? Because within that there's energy, right? And so it essentially is, I think sometimes what happens is we're trying to stop as opposed to look at it like holistically. Man, this person is like generating a lot of energy. They're talking about a lot. Okay, so what if we could change the subject, use the same energy but change the subject? Well, what is it that they like? Where is it that we connect, right? What is it that of what they're saying that you can relate to or whatnot, right? How is it that you can inspire them based on what is it they're saying? So pointing out some of the things of value that they may be, right? So then you can kind of like start to shift it versus trying to stop it, right? Because there's a force coming towards you, right?
And I would say too, in thinking of the theme of, goodbye.
No way.
Passions.
No, I'm just kidding.
When you're thinking about goodbye old passions, that energy never goes away. When you're doing something that you truly are passionate about, and you just stop doing it, you're not going to feel yourself anymore. And that is what sometimes defeats people, and that is where conflicts can arise because there's a resentment that builds, and then you're trying to defend yourself around something, and it's like, wait a minute, am I doing what I'm passionate about? Did I lose that? Am I still bringing that to the table? And I think when you lose that passion and you don't bring that to the table, you don't bring out full self, which can create conflict in itself.
Yeah, I think, I thought about that a lot. I actually wrote a song about that, about passion. And what really happens is, it's very similar to what you're saying, is like, you can try to suppress it. A lot of times either you haven't realized what your passion is, or you try to shut it down, but in actuality, it's gonna come calling. Right. It's gonna come calling.
And it's gonna get louder.
Yeah, exactly. And eventually you're going to have to face whatever it is, right? And then you have the opportunity to redefine what you want that to be. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to kind of, through conversations, through mentors, through partners, you just keep on having that conversation, and eventually your friend's gonna be like, I don't see what you're doing. Why don't you just do so and so? And you'd be like, oh yeah, maybe I should do that, right? Yeah. So just keep on having the conversation. That's what I would say.
So I want to touch up real quick. Earlier, I read a little anecdote about how people switch their careers 3 to 7 times. So, as you guys are business partners. You guys definitely need to put your passion first. How can you give more, not necessarily advice, what's a formula can young adults use to be able to transition into different professions, into different careers, and be able to negotiate in terms of better pay, better hours, et cetera, for things to work for them so they can still have time for their passion? I feel like that's a lot of the reasons why all kids our age are deteriorating.
I think the first thing is being comfortable getting out of your comfort zone, being uncomfortable, being confident, and being convicted of what the thing is. Starting out is hard. As a young adult that's only had one job, it's hard to know is that the thing I should be absolutely sure about? You don't know, but I think that you do know. I think we do know. If there's something you really, really, really like doing, and you start a job, stick with it. And it's not going to be an easy road. You're not going to get paid the first time. You're probably not going to get paid the first year or two, right? You're going to put in work so that you are not going and earning a check, you're creating value for yourself. And that value can turn into financial, it can turn into social capital, it can turn into a lot of types of value or capital. I think it's important that we know that at the beginning stages, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be financial capital. So the advice I would give to youth is stick with that first phase of the hard, uncomfortable part, the relationship building, the going to sleep, thinking like, damn, I can't do this anymore. Oh, that shit's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. But if it's really what you're passionate about and what you love, then you push through that. And then you'll get to another point, well, okay, I'm bringing in a little money now, and now I gotta get to that next level of bringing in more money. Now I gotta get to the next point of being sustainable with the thing. We're still in early phases, you know, with the nonprofit. We're still like, just finally after 4 years, people saying, oh, okay, we're gonna give you a little money, see how you do with it. So it takes time, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna plug the program, you know, Your Passion First. Because one of the things that we try to do is we try to, so there's your passion, and then there are skills that are aligned with your passion, right? So I'll give you an example of, say someone says, oh man, I love music, I want to be an MC. It's like, okay, great. Well, so you're passionate about being an MC. Well, what part of being an MC? Do you like writing? Do you like performing? Do you want to be the star? Do you want to be the back? Do you want to manage? So we try to, so within what you're passionate about, sometimes you have to step back and see. There's 2 questions I always like to ask: is one, what comes most natural for you, and then the 2, what are you most passionate about? Sometimes that's different, because you may have in your mind that, like, oh man, I want to be this MC, but like what comes most natural, the first thing that you always do, you're always writing, right? But what you see is yourself performing, right? So it's important for you to understand that, right? Because the thing that comes most natural for you is the one that you're probably going to be able to make money off of first, because it comes natural, right? So then if it's writing, okay, so now let's look at, if it's writing, okay, so there's writing your raps, okay, well, we're writing commercials, well, writing books, magazines, for other people, right? You can start to leverage that skill and start making money in these different ways, and that's a part of your passion, right? So so my advice is to think about what you're passionate about, have that conversation, and then look at what skills are a part of what that passion is, right? In that passion, what are those skills associated, right? And then start to break those skill sets and see where those skills can be applied in different places, right?
So can I get into the minds of both of you? Like, what's a day like for being Chris and Julius? I heard from a bird you wake up at 4 a.m. You get right to it. I don't know what time you start, but I feel like
This dude get up with cold showers.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no.
You got that dude off the Joe Rogan podcast where you talking about never give up, and you got the ball in, and you just talking about how you just can't stop. Y'all both remind me of that. Y'all both remind me of that, and that's why I definitely I'm glad to see that you guys are here today. You guys are farther along in your endeavors, and you guys are definitely inspiring me. So, once more, what's it like to be you guys?
Wait, before you even say that, there should be a sign that says, not everyone is going to be able to do this, right?
You got the disclaimer.
You should never try it at home.
Try this out. Mine might be, this is your brain on. I had to learn to walk again. I think I ran my whole life, probably running away from my past, and then I had to learn how to run towards something. And I had to walk first and crawl before I started to do that again. And so it can be overwhelming, but I'm more confident now than I've ever been in my life that I'm absolutely sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I can just appreciate that, be grateful, and know that it's not easy, that it's going to be hard, but the flip side is not doing what you want to be doing, what you're passionate about, and that's just even harder.
Yeah.
So I'm just grateful that I get to connect with those people like you that have an amazing baby on the way, an amazing son, an amazing partner, and yeah, but it's overwhelming. That's probably the thing. It can be overwhelming. The only thing I try and do to balance that is work out more, play baseball more, spend more time with my son, try and spend more time with my lady. We're working together always, so trying to spend more time in the moment, appreciating the things that I have and that I have come to, because I've come a long way. So.
Okay, my life. Wow. So generally, I guess I'll say this. I'm always thinking just about some different possibility, right? I guess I split my time within three areas: producing destination music events and DJing. So I tour as an artist, and as an artist, I could be, sometimes it's once every few months, and sometimes it's like week after week for various months. And so when I'm like traveling a lot and touring, I get sleep whenever I can. And that's just kind of the life, and then do whatever in the I used to call it the other 16 hours, because maybe I'll play a couple hours here and there, but then there's like 16 hours of like, what the heck are you gonna do, right? So I'll fill that time up with some sleep, some with whatever it has to do. Then on the consulting end, we're constantly just taking in information about learning about like all of the challenges that teams and organizations are having all over the world, and looking to see how we can help assist in the communication and execution of like their initiatives. And then of course on the board for Your Passion First, we are just driven to create these this platform where there are folks who are so passionate about all these different areas around the world, where they can kind of understand where to go and basically help all the young adults around the world who have these different passions to match that, right? But conceptually, it's very, very simple, right? From an execution standpoint, young adults, you all, I wouldn't say have the longest attention spans, right? So
See me over listening.
So it's you're battling the attention span, and then you have folks who are passionate about all these different areas, which is amazing because they want to give the information, right? But it's matching them at the right time, the right place, and building that. That's what we've been really working on, and that's like a 24/7 thing that never ever ends.
That's amazing.
And that's actually really funny that you brought that up. I was just about to, my next question was, I was about to ask, what do you think it is that it's like in every, because it just seems really easy, like for both, well, I'm not gonna say easy, but it seems like it comes very natural to you guys to like have a clear focus of, what you want to do and how like you have both the past and the present and like where you want to be in the future. Like I said, you're just assessing. But like, do you think that over time that things have changed? You see what I'm saying? Like there are more distractions. So like, yeah, like what are some things that you think that the young people could watch out for now that can probably distract them from, you know what I'm saying? Like, not getting caught up in one thing or not being, because I feel like we're like, especially with working, like to make money, like you mentioned earlier, like we're focused on, okay, I don't have any money, so I need to focus on making money, even if it's something I'm not passionate about. So like maybe that could be one example, but what are some other things that you think that we can watch out for?
It still stems from, I really believe it still stems from the same thing, right? It's being proactive or reactive, right? And so the reason it's so important to the first question you should be asking yourself, again, if you haven't done this yet, you go to the mirror at night and you say like, okay, so if I only had to pick one strength, what would it be? Like, what would be my greatest strength, right? You're in the mirror with yourself, pick one. What is it? You can only choose one, right? Then once you kind of understand what your strength is, that's what you're contributing to your partnerships, to the world, right? Now, once you understand what that is, you can kind of say like, okay, what am I passionate about? Does my strength line up with my passion? Now you start to understand, oh, this is what I'm good at. This is what what are the choices that I'm making to move forward, right? Because as long as you understand what your strength is, I mean, through time, you're going to start to understand, like, this is kind of what I want to do, right? And if you at least know this is what I want to do, if you have another job or whatever the case, you understand the purpose for why you're doing it. I'm doing this so that eventually I can do this. Whereas if you don't do that, then what happens is you're reacting. And so, it's like, okay, I want to do this, you go this way, go that way, and whatever happens, and you get pulled, and then you're left with, like, asking yourself, what the heck am I doing, right? So if you start the hard part in the beginning, go to that mirror, ask yourself, what is it I'm contributing? What's my greatest strength? Then, how does that align with my passion? Well, I don't know what my passion is. Start talking about it. Man, what is my passion about? Keishjuan, what's my passion? What do you think I'm passionate about? I don't know, you gotta tell me. So having a conversation, right? Then you get that, well, what do you want to do? And you ask yourself, in an ideal world, with no limitations, what do I want to do? Zero limitations, right? What do I want to do? What do you see? What are you seeing, right? And once you start seeing that, okay, great. Now your choices are, okay, to get to that, I'm going to need to do what? So at least if you're doing something really crappy or whatever, it's okay because you're just doing it
forever.
Yeah, and the question is, by doing this, is it going to get me closer to that?
Okay.
And if it's not, it's okay, but at least you know that, right? If when you start doing all this stuff and and it's all gray area, eventually you're going to have to deal with that yourself. You're going to have to, I don't know what I'm doing, and then that goes in confidence. You start feeling, then you start doing whatever is like convenient for you. And when you get in that mode, you want to talk about wasting time for yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I have a follow-up to that.
That literally just answered my question.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
what you
just,
suggesting?
and you know what's funny? That's actually something that's been like sticking with me now. It's like if you just focus on the goal, but it's hard to focus. 'Cause I don't know, like with technology and media and stuff, it's just like your mind. Like I know after this is over, I'm gonna check my phone, and I'm probably gonna be on my phone for like a couple minutes, and it's really easy to get like. It's like a world within a world. You know what I'm saying? Like we can now create our who we want to be through here. But like, let's say this dies. Like, what am I left with now? And then that's what I'm saying. It's like
there's always going to be distractions, right? Like no matter what you choose to do, I feel like there's always the potential for a distraction. And we get distracted when we don't have a clear path to our vision.
Right.
If you can taste it, then you can make the steps necessary to get there. Now the other piece is discipline, right? Like, great to have the steps there, but if you don't have the discipline to actually execute, and then if it's a bigger project and you have the discipline but you don't have the people skills to manage the people on the project, right? Then all those things can kind of fall and feel like distractions.
In the simplest form, and that's why I feel like it's so important to ask yourself, in an ideal world with no limitations, what I want to be doing, like, and you just start seeing that, and then when whatever your answer is, like, is that really what you want to be doing? You gotta test yourself, right? Because it has to be so strong that becomes the distraction.
Yeah,
Do you see what I'm
that's
saying?
what I got from it. Yeah, that's what I got from it.
That becomes the thing where it's like, yeah, I can do this, and you might be like, you know what, but because you can see it, right?
Yeah.
And then you just need to start surrounding yourself with people who want to, push you that way.
Hold on, like, yeah. Go ahead, do you have anything to say?
Nah, I feel like you have some more to add on unless you guys got like.
No, it's just tough to sit with. That's what I'm saying. It's really, I don't know. It's like I knew this topic was gonna be like really tough to sit with because it's like you constantly. I feel like you kind of have to like be in a state of motion at all times. Like if you're just in one place.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like for example, let's say, okay, now I'm gonna flip it to the other side. Like instead of being distracted by all these things and you don't know what you're doing, some people will find something they're passionate about, and they will only. It's like they'll become attached to that one thing, and it becomes like an unhealthy attachment at that. So it's like even if it is failing, but let's say it is going down like let's say they are doing something that is getting them that way, but now the circumstances are changing and maybe they have to relocate. Like I'm not saying like physically, but like maybe you need to do something else. Like maybe you need to leave this establishment and go somewhere else because maybe you'll gain more experience. But some people, because of comfortability and because they know like it's certain. So yeah, the uncertainty, yeah.
Well, so that's why you go back to that beginning, right? Which is like, okay, what is my greatest strength, right? Because then you understand what you're contributing to whatever project, right? So if you need to make an adjustment, you understand that you can pivot, and you understand how to contribute, right? So you're never stuck just in this only one thing, right? I mean, there's always going to be something, and eventually, you're going to get to the point where you're just like, the biggest challenge is going to be saying no versus saying yes to something, saying no, right? And that's what Chris is talking about with the discipline, right? So that you go back to the beginning, you start to understand what your strength is, you start to understand what your passion is, you start to understand what you're trying to do. If you got that part of it, and you really understand what you're contributing to whatever project, it will be much easier for you to pivot. Because like this thing, it's like, I want to do this, but maybe there's another way. And then you can contribute to something while you figure that out, keep aligning with people,
I'll give you an example. In 2015, I started recruiting HR in 2010. 2010 to 2015, I did it at one organization. I ended up growing the team out, doing great. I made $190,000 in 2015, but I wasn't happy. And I didn't know why I wasn't happy, but I knew that I wasn't fulfilling on my adolescent psychology degree and working with me. So I left that organization. I took a pay cut in half to 80. I lost my team, but I went to an organization that allowed me to fulfill what I really love. And not getting paid doing it first, I still went there to recruit, but I got to volunteer at organizations that were helping people. So while it was tough for me to say, hey, this is bringing in the check, but what's your passion, right? And because I'm good at sales, am I leaving an old passion, right? Or am I moving towards what my real passion is, what my real vision is? And so taking that leap, and then I took another leap in 2019 when I got asked to start another team. I'm like, no, but I want to do this. I want to work with you. So I think we go through times in life where you're maybe making money on something you're not, but you're trying to make a decision on what my next play is in life. The more convicted you are on what that thing is that you're good at, what is the thing that you're really, really good at in that role, that's going to guide you to what your next step should be.
And I'll just say the last thing is, like if you really want to just simplify it, what you're really doing is you want to understand like what you contribute, like ask yourself in the mirror by yourself, what's your greatest strength, and then just keep getting involved with projects that excite you.
Okay.
That is like
paid or unpaid.
Paid or unpaid, yeah. Like just get involved in the coolest project that you could ever get involved with, and get into programs like your passion first. For sure, because I mean the amount of resources and people and network. Because a lot of times folks will get in these programs and kids will get in the programs, and there's so much to give, but there's a certain responsibility that you have as a young adult as well. Because we can say like, oh yes, okay, you want to be a filmmaker, amazing. We can introduce you to X person, but sometimes you might not be ready to meet that person.
Right.
Right? So
It's cool to know that they're in the background waiting for me if I'm able to work that.
Exactly. So you get in the program, so you're able to start to understand and learn, but just keep getting involved in cool projects. That's a shortcut to like being happiness and like starting to find out what you really are good at and what you like to do.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like I didn't preface by saying this, but I am from the south side of Chicago. So like I didn't even know about your passion first until like I met Keishjuan, and actually he introduced me to like a whole bunch of other people. We did an art thing, like I'm an artist, so we did like art installations together. And then the Austin Alfresco. And then that's when I started showing up more, and then started doing or just going just to see what was up, because like I don't like partying or anything like that. I do like volunteer or like day events, because I just like being out in the community. It's fun. And that's one thing I will say, like being a part of your passion first. Now, like now I can confidently say that. At first I was like, oh, I'm just a guest. But no, like being a part of it, like I am meeting like wonderful people. And like I am taking my time. Like I said, I'm in this space of learning. But it's just like, man, this is such a great, it's a great foundation. That's one thing I will say to you, Chris. Like it's just really wonderful, and I wish more youth would like come and be able to talk, and because you figure yourself out. It's more so, I don't know, I just feel like other programs are too much pressure. Like you have to pick one thing. If you don't know what you want, then it's like, oh, okay, you're kind of useless here. That's how they make you feel. But here it's like you can be a part of anything. You can show up anywhere. Like even if you're interested just a little bit, you can still get the experience. So then you can at least say, okay, I've tried.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So thank you, Chris, for being so flexible, and that was one thing that inspired me about the program is, for being on the production end of things, I kind of understand like what needs to happen for this thing to keep going. And Chris is committed to not letting anyone be left behind. That is. It's incredible.
No
it's
children
incredible.
left behind.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
This is what George Bush was talking about. No child left behind. This is that guy.
Yeah.
So
no, he tells me that all the time. He talks about the time when you guys first met all the time, and it's like, wow, that's impressive. It's impressive because like we don't have that many mentors that care and then will go beyond the it's more so benefiting them, and they're not committed to, like you said, the cause. So
and just to go back what you were talking about learning, so you're always learning. And if you really think about it, one of my mentors told me a long time ago. He asked me, how do you find, how can you tell where there's a true master craftsman, a true person who's a master at their craft? And he told me they're going to be disguised as a student, because a true master is always a student of their craft.
yeah.
So keep on learning.
That's why I'm so short.
you said the height went all up to here. So I know it's time for us to close out. I know you guys are very busy, man. Unfortunately, you guys can't bask in all this knowledge for long. Sorry. So is there like one word of advice that you both can give the audience before we head out? Like one, and I know I asked that question.
Yeah, one word is tough. I would just say surround yourself with people who lift you up.
I can dig it. I like to lift you. So, what about you? Can you give us one word or just one little quote?
I'll give some words.
All right. Touche.
Confidence, discipline, and commitment or conviction.
I'll add in passion. I didn't speak corny.
That was
I'll
a
add in
given.
passion.
That's a given.
What about you?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm just soaking it all up. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's good. That we got to see what he just said.
Look, seriously, for once in my life, I am too stunned to speak. What's that mean? Yeah, I'm too stunned to speak. So.
Good. I mean, you did well.
Yeah,
I guess for the youth, then I would say like just be open ears. Be open minded and don't shut anything out. That's one thing that I feel like is some of my peers' downfall. They think they know everything, but it's like when you know that you don't know everything, learning gets more fun, because then you get to find out. Like you can like you said, pivot. Like you can go anywhere and learn anything, but you have to at least admit first that you don't know.
Factual.
Yeah. So,
Appreciate y'all.
No problem.
Keep
Appreciate
bridging
you.
the gap.
Appreciate
Yeah.
both.
Thank you,
Appreciate-
guys. Thank you,
Y'all don't see him, but I appreciate the camera guy.
Corey,
Yeah.
in the house every day, killing it.
Thank you for doing this, and I think this is great because being a part of a project like this, you're essentially being able to, spread your wings and meet as many young adults and people who are doing all these different things. So just keep on, bringing people into the fold and keep on having the conversation.
yeah.
Congratulations.
That being said, thank you both. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Keishjuan,
My name's Ciara.
and this is the Undivided Bridge.
All right.
Deuces.